name is Kay Byfield, and this is your ArtSpeaks Studio moment from ArtSpeaks Studio in Dallas, Texas. Today we're going to talk about how color impacts a painting. Color is one of the most important elements in a painting, and we use color to attract attention, to give information about the subject matter. However, there are a lot of aspects to color, and artists need to choose their colors and the way they use their colors based on what they're trying to achieve. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how the hue can be important, the basic color itself. The hue is the name of the color. It's blue or it's red or it's orange. And what that tells us is what light rays are being reflected off of the paint into our eyes. What receptors are being activated. And those colors have repercussions. They affect us. If the colors are bright and darker, then the painting tends to feel more joyful and exuberant. If the colors are dull and there's less contrast between them, then it's a more moody painting. There's more of a contemplative mood or maybe a depressed mood. So the artist chooses those colors based on what they're trying to say. To make these choices, artists need to understand some things about color. So let's do a little refresher. So looking at the color wheel, we can see the various hues, the various colors arranged in their most intense, their brightest version in a circle. And the primary colors, the colors that are elementary, you cannot mix any other colors together to get them. You must have those basic colors are red, yellow, and blue. And all the other colors are made from those colors. So red, yellow, and blue are the primary colors. If you mix red, yellow, and blue together, you get a neutral, not necessarily a gray. It can be a brown, but it will be a neutral color that will not have the hue of any of the other colors. The colors that are opposite one another on the color wheel are called the complements. And what makes them complements is that the primary color, when it is mixed with the secondary color, which is across from it, you are actually mixing the three primaries together. You are mixing, since the violet is made from red and blue, in essence, when you mix that secondary, the violet, with the yellow, you get a neutral, which will be a brown, not a violet. But in any case, all of those colors are that way. But if you look across the color wheel at tertiaries, they will also, when mixed together, make a neutral. And these are critical facts because sometimes you want bright colors and sometimes you want neutrals. And here's what I mean by all that. We can take any color and we can successively make it lighter. With watercolor, in the traditional way, we just add water because we want the watercolor to be transparent. But with paints that are opaque, we mix white with it to make it lighter. So we have the lightest version, then next darker, next darker, next darker, to the darkest version of that particular hue without mixing a black with it. And this is alizarin crimson, this is ultramarine in 5 steps. There's unlimited number of steps, but I've broken it down to just 5 here. We can do the same thing mixing the colors with their complement. So cobalt blue mixed with an orange, which orange is opposite of blue on the color wheel, will progressively get duller, less intense. Windsor red mixed with green will also get progressively duller. So here it's a duller red, but it's still red, whereas here it goes to brown and not red or green. Cadmium yellow, we mix it with a purple, we get a duller yellow, and when we mix it evenly, we will get a brown. So you can see that we need to know all of these things. And what we're really talking about here is hue, temperature, warm and cool, the complements, and the value, the lights and the darks. So artists need to know all of these qualities of color in order to make a painting. But today I'm just going to talk about hue. What difference does the primary color make? What difference does the color choice of your dominant color make to your painting? And so in order to give us a sense of that, I found a picture, a photograph of a child's face, and she has kind of an ambiguous expression on her face, which could be read in any number of ways depending on how the audience sees it. So I took this photograph and I did a drawing of it, and I painted it in different hues as a monochrome just to see if it changed anything. So this is the photograph. This is the version in blue. And you can see that you can still read the image because this is basically a value painting. It's a monochrome, and it shows us all the shapes and it shows us the relative values, and we don't need the color to know what we're looking at. This is the red painting. It's painted in cadmium red and goes a little to the brown side when it gets into the darks. And again, it's faithful to the photograph, but it's only in one color as a value study would be. And this is the last one I did, which is in pink. And again, it's a value study, it's monochromatic, but this time the color that I used was pink. So what I want to know is, does this make any difference in the reading of the painting? In theory, it should. People respond to blues in more subdued ways. Blues have a tendency to be calming. There's been all kinds of psychological research about that. And blues can be depressing. I tell my son, I'm feeling a little bit blue today. And everybody knows what that means. Blue is calming, depressing, whatever. If we talk about reds, now if this had been a fiery red, like a Windsor red or a phthalo red, or a real bright red, that would have read differently than this cadmium red does, which tended to get a little bit dull when it got darker. But you can see it's essentially the same image, but this looks more depressed than that one does. And when we get to the pink, pink is a color associated with girls in our culture, and pink is a bright color. There is no dullness to it whatsoever. I used various values of pink, but the painting seems a little happier, a little bit more joyful, a little bit more childish, more childlike. It celebrates a happy child, whereas this is a more contemplative child, and this one might be a sad child. If you don't agree with my analysis of how those different colors work, that's not a big deal, because color responses are idiosyncratic. We all have our own. But we do know from psychological studies that there are some general responses that many people have. And that's what I'm telling you about. But the color makes a difference. So when you choose colors for your next painting, you want to figure out what your dominant color is going to be, Is it going to be a blue painting? Is it going to be an orange painting? Is it going to be a violet painting? And you should try to think about, do I want that color to contribute to what I'm trying to say in the painting in some way? So I hope this information is helpful to you, and I hope you will join us again for a future ArtSpeaks moment. In the meantime, happy painting. Bye.